Hey everyone, it's Kelly. Thanks so much for joining me. I am back today with a new layout for the Altenew November 2019 new release blog hop. And I created two 12 by 12 scrapbook layouts, and this is one of those projects that I created. I am using the wavy outline dies, which you can see here. They cut these really intricate florals and they're just absolutely gorgeous. So here I've cut them on some gray cardstock. And then I have also cut a few hexagons, actually 4 hexagons from 4 different pattern papers from the Altenew Reflection scrapbook collection. That was the first scrapbook collection that Altenew released. So here are those papers that I used to cut those hexagons, and I did use my Cricut to cut those. I knew that I wanted my photo to be that same hexagon shape, so I'm just going to use one of these hexagons as a template and cut my photo. I'm just going to lay that hexagon right up against my photo and then just use a pair of scissors to trim around it. And then once I have that trimmed out, I'm going to play with the placement of these hexagons. And I feel like I've said the word hexagon about 1,000 times. So sorry. But I'm just going to move them around the layout and try to figure out how I'm going to fit all of them on there. I end up deciding to go with just 3 of the pattern paper hexagons and then using the photo as the 4th. My idea was to place them in a horizontal design similar to this, and then to add those wavy outline floral dies around the edges of those hexagons. I knew that I wanted to add some color and texture to this white cardstock background, so I grabbed one of my favorite stencils from Altenew. This is the sketched line stencil, and I'm going to use the white Altenew embossing paste, and I'm just going to add that right through the stencil. You won't be able to see it very well as I'm adding it on because it is white on white, but you'll be able to see it in a little bit more detail and a little bit closer up in just a few moments. I thought initially that I was just going to place the stencil work in that same area that the hexagons are going to be, so in that same horizontal design. But as I was adding the embossing paste, it ended up branching out a little bit further than I was anticipating. So I decided just to go with it, and I covered the entire background with the stencil. So once I get this covered, I'm going to set it off to the side to dry. And in all honesty, I did use my hair dryer to try to speed it up a little bit. And here I'm showing you in the light, I hope you could see it there, the design from that stencil. And I wanted to add some color, and I thought about trying to reposition the stencil on top of the embossing paste and then using my blending tool to apply this blue color through the stencil so it would just be on the design from the stencil and it wouldn't cover any of the white cardstock. But it was just too hard to get the stencil to line back up, so I decided just to go ahead and add the color directly onto the background. And I do use 2 different blues to add this color, and I believe they were Faded Jeans and Blueprint Sketch, and they were both Distress Oxides. So I'm just going to take some time and I'm going to add this color directly onto the background. I'm not really worried about a smooth blend or a smooth transition with the color because so much of it's going to be covered up. It's really just going to be peeking out from behind the hexagons and the embellishments that I'm going to add on. So I don't care if it looks blotchy or if it looks messy. I actually prefer that, and it actually works out well that I prefer that because then I don't have to spend a lot of time blending when it comes to using different inks. So I'm going to go back and forth a few times and bring back in the pattern papers and my photo and those floral die cuts just to see how much coverage I have with this blue. I do want to make sure that you can see it peeking out from behind all of those elements on the layout. And I ended up making the color a little bit richer in the center. I would start my coloring there and then kind of take it out towards the edges of the layout because I knew that that area was definitely going to be covered up. So it didn't matter if it was really concentrated there, and it did make the blend a little bit better. Again, I wasn't really focused on getting a smooth transition with that color. I just wanted to add some color and some detail to the background, and I really like how that looks. I think it really helps that stencil work really pop off the background and just adds a lot of interest and some dimension to the layout, and it's just a lot of fun. I did add some white machine stitching around all of those hexagons, and I did use an edge distressor along all of those hexagons as well, just to roughen up the edges and just to add more texture. And I even did it to my photo, and I don't know if I've ever actually done that with a photo before where I've used an edge distressor on it. That was kind of tricky to say, an edge distressor on it, but I liked how it turned out. I wasn't sure if it would work, if it would tear my photo, or if it would give the same effect as a pattern paper, and it did. So I'm really happy with how that turned out, and it's something that I will have to remember in the future. So I am using a mixture of embellishments from all three of the scrapbook collections that Altenew has released. So the wood veneer epoxy buttons and some of the stickers are from the Altenew Reflection scrapbook collection. The chipboard heart that says love, that is from the Altenew Live Your Dream collection. And then I am going to bring in some wood veneer hearts in just a moment, and those are from the Altenew Our Family collection. So this layout is all about my scrapbook room or my craft room, and I moved my craft room from the second story of our home to the main level last year, and I think I've been in there a little over a year now. So I love it. I love the color. I love the natural light. I love how I have everything set up in there. I really do want to record a craft room tour now that I've been in there a while, and I do have things set up the way that I like it. And I wanted the title of my layout to be Happy Place because it really is my happy place. But I wanted to stick with the pink and purple tones that I had going on the layout. And I had used all of the pink and purple P's in the word happy. So the only P that I had left was a green color, and I decided to try to alter it, and I am so pleased with how it turned out. I just grabbed the Seedless Preserves Distress Oxide ink, and then I also grabbed a pink Distress Oxide ink, and I blended it on top of the green P that I had remaining to turn it into that purple color. And I love how it turned out. I don't think that you would be able to tell that I had altered that. It did take away a little bit of the shine, the finish that those letters have on them. And those alphabets are from the Our Family collection from Altenew. But I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I think it blends in really nicely, and sometimes it's fun to experiment with things like that. So I am just using a Distress Oxide ink to add some blue splatters to the background, and I got a little bit on my photo, but the nice thing about that photo is I used my Canon selfie to print it, and they are waterproof, so I could just wipe off those splatters. So here you can see the layout in a little bit more detail, and I am going to bring up some still shots at the end here. If you happen to be watching this video on my YouTube channel, I do want to encourage you to head to my blog. Altenew has some really great giveaways happening with this new release, and all the details can be found on my blog. So I do want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will be back again soon with a new layout and process video.